what's the vision on it? Like, what's the goal? Is it to maintain that, or to even get off that? Like,
is it more research, or is it
yeah.
something
No,
that
he's
come out
saying
of it?
well, even if abstinence is the goal, and the worst that happens is maintenance,
But
then I think they would have both.
stability.
Well,
Yeah.
stability, but is there,
Yeah.
tell your story.
No, well, I would say, and the problem with Naomi is there was no exit strategy, let's call it, you know, and that was
Hard.
That was hard on a lot of people, and
They had to switch from high levels of heroin to methadone, right? That's what you
When
said.
methadone, that was one of the.
But that was the only option at the end of it.
Yeah.
And what it was the thing that bothered me about that personally was, if they knew that the hydromorphone worked, like, isn't it, I mean, they had the same problem in Holland when they did it in Holland. When they had their study in Holland, they let the people go after the thing. They had made all these informed consents. I signed about 5 of them while I was there. I don't know how many you signed. I mean, they kept changing it with their ethics board. And they weren't conformed. I mean, for an addict to sign up the paper, it's like free heroin. Yeah, where did I sign? You know what I mean? That's what everybody went into it. It wasn't, where do I sign? Oh, we're changing the consent form. Would you sign it again? Oh no, I don't think I'm gonna bother signing it because it's got this and that. Anyway, in Holland, what they did was they had the same problem. The doctors who were running it there, they let the people go. A month later, they went out in the street and found them sitting in little cubby holes in the alleys and back to where, and they started bringing them in again and writing them prescriptions for substitution therapy that were more you know, like different drugs. You need morphine, you want Dilaudid, you want. And they because they felt
because they weren't going to lose their license.
No, but
that's why they won't do it here.
But here, and that was what I said to them afterwards, is like, gee whiz, just as a human being, come on,
so
let's
that's
do
called
it.
Compassion.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So now with 322 people going in, I don't know what interchange really is all about. Okay, I don't know. I talked to Trish Walsh, but I'm not really sure what their role is in it. I mean, like, they worked with you, didn't they? They did a lot of work with you, right?
I started it, you know,
Yeah,
I got them on the board,
foundation.
and, you know, I tried to get them going. I'm not on the board or anything, but
No, I know.
the goal was to have a group that would get out there and advocate and do the work that needs and funnel some money and stuff like that, you know. So they've been, I know I've been working with them on the Minister of Health, trying to make sure the money comes. Looking good so far, you know. But the interesting thing, as what I found out about these drugs, is that if you give a guy heroin, whoa, you know, that's horrible.
Yeah.
If you give him diacetylmorphine,
That was a concern.
No, it's exactly the same thing.
That's still a concern. I think we have today is that we're taking 322 people out of our community, and what are we going to do from the end? To me, that's something that I haven't heard them talking about.
Well,
you know, I haven't heard the exit strategies involved and how we're going to do that. Because these are limited time things. These are experiments.
Well, remember, if they determine that, so one of the goals of SALOME is to try pills.
Yeah.
So they're going to do the hydromorphine and the pills.
They don't want people injecting these things.
No, I
heard,
well, from what I've heard, it was going to be 6 months, first 6 months, it was going to be injecting to get the people in the door, more or less, and get them stabilized so they could have a baseline to continue to study from.
Yeah.
And, well, they'd actually have 2 baselines. One was when they were on the street, the next one's when they were on injectable Dilaudid, and then take them to the next level, which would be oral substitution therapy, which would then they would have the three you know, the street level. They'd have they'd have a couple of things to compare it to.
Yes, exactly.
And then, well, it's a study, you know. So I mean, we're dealing with academics here.
But if the result is that, you know, the oral hydromorphone is pretty good, you know, works pretty darn good,
Well,
then it's a drug that you find in Granny's, you know, medicine cabinet, you know.
yeah,
So,
quite.
Are you familiar with Suboxone? Last year we had our first drug summit. Buprenorphine,
Yeah.
but it's called buprenorphine and Suboxone.
Yeah.
I think different countries have different
in the
licenses
US
they call
they
it.
use it a lot now, but
Yeah,
in Canada,
India,
Use it,
Iran,
France.
all these other places. Iran of all places, they use that there,
Oh.
and India and stuff like that. We had a doctor who prescribes it, and I'm just thinking, why isn't it more prescribed? I know it has something to do with the price of the pills, but here is something that basically she told us, like if you're sick, you are familiar with the word sick when you're on heroin. Well, you start the Suboxone within 3 days, I think she had said.
Yeah.
You're
I
basically
bet.
cured from the heroin. Yeah, coming
I
out,
can
and
understand that.
it's very hard for doctors
It's just been
to-
approved in BC.
Yeah. Well,
It's
no, this
approved,
doctor.
but you can't, no, we have to get more
More
involved as
involved,
activists to
yeah.
find out whether the people,
Right.
the same way trying to get HIV meds or hepatitis C meds, if we lobby hard enough, we can get it on.
Because it's a
Pharmacare.
really, really
Pharmacare,
good
yeah.
drug. I mean, it's
I'm
being
sure
used
they'll
all
make
over the
us
place.
do it.
There are companies in England.
I think one
I
of the
did a lot
problems with
stuff
that
there.
right now is the drug companies, which one's gonna get it.
I
Yeah.
was just gonna
It's money.
say.
Yeah,
It's
exactly,
money.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because that doctor said that,
Yeah.
if you came to her,
She would give
she
you-
came from England or something, and she could prescribe it, and if you came to her, she'd put you on it.
Yeah.
But how much
How
can
many
one doctor
doctors-
do?
Yeah.
Well, couldn't Health Canada get involved in
Oh,
that?
yeah,
They
Health
don't
Canada's
get
involved.
They
They're
don't
involved.
get- yeah.
I've
They are
been
involved.
corresponding with them for 5 years,
Big
trying to get them to
Montreal.
hurry
Yeah.
up. They
Yeah.
just- They
Dr.
call me
Lacroix in
adversary.
Montreal is
When I
a
went
doctor.
to the Naomi press conference,
Mhm. I was there,
yeah,
yeah.
you were there, and they talked about, Schechter said, we can do this now.
Mhm.
We know
Just keep
that
going.
hydromorphone injectable is an option.
Mhm.
Let's just get it going.
I thought that some people were continued, and certainly in Montreal, a physician there said she was continuing. It's a shame that she ended up having to shut down.
She did.
Well, it sounds like it. It sounds like they're not doing it in Montreal anymore, but I don't know.
There's only like 3 doctors, I think, in all of Canada who are prescribing the Suboxone and buprenorphine.
Well, she's not doing that. She
Yeah.
was giving people, and this is the thing. We need a doctor with a tremendous sense of social justice who will put themselves forward. In a sense, as far as I know about the way the legal process would work, is that the doctor would have to be charged, and then you'd have this really central case, and the doctor would be found innocent, similar to the abortion
There's a
cases.
problem with training, like for a doctor to supply Suboxone is supposed to be a 1-day training.
Of course, that's what it is for
and-
members.
And it's not
Yeah.
available in BC, it means going to Toronto or somewhere to get, I mean, like, that's the way our Montreal is, McGill. There's something going on like that right now.
They're just passing the
where,
buck until the drug
where
companies
until-
decide which
until-
one's gonna.
until, our universities.
Mine.
As a greedy
Well, it's
drug
in
company,
Quebec,
there's nothing like a
that's
greedy drug
totally
company
it.
to make sure
That's it.
something's out
Well,
on the
it's in
market.
Quebec because that's
With
where the
that.
company is that distributes.
Yeah.
You know, and also they have close connections to France, it's
Yeah.
a big drug in
Yeah.
France,
Yeah.
so. I
Well, the
mean,
parent company is in England.
Yeah.
So they're
I
the ones
like
that license it out.
taking advantage of greedy drug
I
companies.
know. They're gonna do the advocacy, then we can stick with fighting for the legal maintenance. Yeah.
Well, we're getting Hep C treatment.
Yeah. Well, sure, that's what I've always said to people. For a while, it was this thing, should the drug users fight for HIV meds? I said, those companies are so greedy, don't worry, it's gonna
It'll
come
take care
through,
of
and it
itself.
did, it came
Exactly.
through. We were better off putting our energy into trying to get an injection site,
Yeah.
because the drug companies won't help with that. Although you wish they would. You say, we'll keep them alive, you can feed them drugs. Like, come on, help out.
Yeah.
But there's sometimes when you're firmly abandoned, and that's when it's the role of the people most affected. And I think that we're trying to get this sense in terms of an international movement that we are not going to end drug prohibition unless the actual people who are the real victims of the drug war, being the people that are the users of the drugs and criminalized as a result, unless they have a very strong voice in the movement to end prohibition. But we end up fighting those guys too. You'll see them off and running. They'll set up the, I don't know, Canadian Consortium on Drug Policy. And you just say, Jesus, how many users are on there? And it's not like you just pluck some user who shot dope once. They should have a rigorous network of drug user groups that are run properly across the country. Right now, we've got a terrible problem at VANDU because when we get imitated, it hurts VANDU because, I got a job, I got money, we got money. Let's start a peer group, they'll say. So then they get a bunch of drug users, wave $10 or $20 in front of them to go out and pick up garbage in an alley, and they call it a drug user group. I'm like, forget it, man. A drug user group is sitting there at their 40 board meetings a year. That's what we have.
Yeah.
They last 2 hours. Sometimes there's more than 40 board meetings a year. And we slug
And
through
meetings
everything.
like
'Cause we don't
this
have
and-
enough. We don't have enough funding to hire staff. And in a way, that curse has turned into a good thing because we don't have that constant staff board fight. I mean, these guys think we do, but you haven't seen staff board fighting. You get these big organizations where there's a lot of very disadvantaged and disabled people who are clients of service providers who are professionals,